Hi, this is Mrs. Wallace again. I'm just doing that 2008. This is the Callahan's Orchard, grows apples, operates in a constant cost, perfectly competitive apple industry, and it's in long run equilibrium. So the first step was to draw the graphs. This is the side-by-side graphs, and note that they have you here following a particular labeling scheme. So price in the market, quantity in the market, price in the firm, quantity in the firm, and it's in long run equilibrium. So follow their kind of schematic for what they're looking for in terms of labeling. And then you could even label this. This is really the apple market. And this is the specific firm. So this is Callahan's, the one representative firm in the market. And then for part B, we're going to assume that the government actually provides the apple growers. So this is the individual firms like Callahan's by granting an annual lump sum subsidy. So there's a couple of things we need to think about. Anything that's a lump sum, assume is going to be dedicated to fixed costs. So we're not talking about something when it's lump sum that is going to actually move the marginal cost curve. If it did, if there was a change in variable costs, your marginal cost curve would then shift down. Or if it was a per unit subsidy, that would actually affect your variable costs, and that would mean your marginal cost curve would shift down, and you would have a new profit maximizing quantity because you'd have a new intersection between marginal cost and marginal revenue. In this case, that doesn't happen. The lump sum is indicating your marginal cost does not, move at all. What will happen, however, is your ATC will decrease. So you actually will see a firm not in long run equilibrium anymore as a result of this subsidy. So looking at part B, what happens to Callahan's quantity of output, okay? And basically the output will remain the same. And the reason it will remain the same is because there's no change to marginal cost, okay? So because there's an explain at the end of that question, take the time, write a few sentences about how a lump sum subsidy is not going to shift the marginal cost curve, and as a result, you don't have a change in profit maximizing quantity. Callahan's profit, however, the profit is going to increase. Before, they were at normal profit or zero economic profit. Now, as a result of the subsidy, ATC is going to decrease, okay? And make sure when you draw this, I didn't do a grand job of this, that the ATC is intersecting MC, the ATC is at its minimum point. So as you're kind of drawing that upwards, this is now ATC2, okay? And you could even kind of shade the profit. You might look at the profit being now this difference between where the price is, right, and where your ATC is, so your profit being kind of there. But basically, your profit is going to increase from normal profit to now an economic profit, and the number of firms in the industry. The only way that the number of firms in the industry would move, and this question here in part B has an underline of the short run. So in this question, part B, they're not looking for you to suggest that the supply curve is going to increase because of profits, right? That would happen in the long run. But in the short run, you're not going to see any shift. And the reason is your marginal cost curve is the firm supply curve above AVC. That firm supply curve is the same as every other firm supply curve. And if the MC curve shifted, the actual industry supply curve would shift, okay? So if this was the case that it was a variable cost change and MC and ATC both decreased, you'd not only have a new quantity for the firm, you would also have a decrease in your an increase rather, because your MC curve would be going, it would be a decrease, but the way your supply curve would shift would be an increase in supply as a result of that cut in costs, okay? So we don't see that. So there is no change in the number of firms in the industry, okay, in the short run. In the long run, how would each of these following change in the long run as a result of the lump sum subsidy? Well, the subsidy gave this firm profits, right? So the number of firms in the industry, the firms will increase, and they want you to explain. This is where you would explain that the supply curve is going to shift until you reach minimum ATC. And so because of profits, more firms are enticed to come into this particular industry, and the supply curve shifts up until the point where each firm is making normal profit. So make sure you have that explanation here. And you could write that out in a few sentences, just that idea of profit leading to entry. And you might even note that in perfect competition, there's no barriers to entry. So it's important to kind of note, firms would be not only motivated to come in, they're able to come in. The price would ultimately decrease, because in the issue of like once you're, and I'm going to just kind of write, even though they don't want us to, I'm going to put it on this graph. When the supply curve, shifts right for, in the long run, your new price is just going to be lower. You have a lower equilibrium price. You'd be back at normal profit for the firm. And as a result of that, you're also going to see a change in the quantity. So you're going to have a price that decreases for the firm, and you're also going to have a different quantity for the firm. What happens to your industry quantity, however, is your industry quantity is going to increase, okay? And the result of your industry quantity increasing is because your supply curve has shifted to the right as a result of profit. So your industry quantity is going to increase, and the price in both the firm and the industry decreases. Okay, I hope that's clear, and we'll look at the 2017 one in class tomorrow. Okie doke, have a good night.